What's going on, everybody? Mike here, and today we're going to do one of those videos that I just love because I find value in these, and I think based on how many people view them that you guys find value in them too, because at the end of the day, I think we're all looking for the best value, getting the best thing we can afford for our hard-earned money. But also in the times of like inflation and uncertainty, we're also looking for information a lot of times. Now, in my military and law enforcement career, I've got to test hundreds of different firearms, especially things here on YouTube and just in my personal life as well. And I still to this day reach out to people that I know and trust to get information on things that are either new or I just don't have that much experience with. So for that reason, I love doing videos like this, which are 9 great first kind of like budget friendly pistols. Now, I think all of these things are ones that we can afford out there, even if we have to save a little bit for some of them. They may not be the cheapest things out there, but these are ones that I personally have tested. I have lots of time in them, thousands of rounds through at least some of them and several hundred at least through the others. But overall, they seem to be very reliable, durable, and affordable being the main point. So we'll quickly go over these 9 guns. I'll give my top 3 things with each, and then one thing I would change because nobody gets a pass, and there's always something that could be just a little bit better, whether it's price point or maybe an option or two that's on though. Before we get started, I'd like to give a huge thank you to all of my Patreons. It's because of them that all of these are possible here on the channel. And let's kick this off with a Gen 3 Glock clone in the way of the PSA Dagger. So Palmetto State Armory is just doing a lot when it comes to getting pistols in people's hands for a price we can all afford that are turning out to be very durable and very reliable out there in the world. You can check everybody else's reviews on this PSA Dagger. It's just turning out to be really great, especially for the price point. Well, as I said, this is a Gen 3 Glock clone, so you're gonna see a lot of similarities with Glock parts on here. They come in optics ready, non-optics ready. They've got a ton of different options from colors, sights, all that different stuff. You can even get them with optics. They're an exceptional value. They've proven to be extremely durable, reliable. They have an accessory slot rail out front, and they run some already available parts out there in the market since it's a Gen 3 Glock clone. It's got decent texture on the grip, a single finger groove, uses Glock mags, which are readily available from Glock and aftermarket sources, a ton of options that you can choose from. Now, my top 3 things on here, first is going to be the budget. They took a budget-minded Glock clone and actually made it feel pretty good with the grip angle, the finger groove, and that texture. It's got a decent single undercut on that trigger guard so you can get really high up in there and it's more comfortable. You're not gonna get that Glock knuckle like you do with a factory Glock. And overall, just the feel and ergonomics of the pistol are absolutely solid. Now, the one thing I would change here is that trigger design. So it is a hinged trigger design. It is not my favorite. And when it comes to anything that's got a hinged trigger, it seems to sit more forward. And for me, just has a weird feel on it. But again, it's a Gen 3 Glock clone, so you can trade that thing out if you desire. But as far as it comes out of the box, that's the one thing I would change. Now, the value and cost on these things, exceptional, because you can get these starting at $299. Now, for something that's proven to be as reliable and durable as the PSA Daggers have, that is a price point that is really hard to pass by. And next up, something that's not anywhere near a Glock clone, and that is going to be the AREX Delta Gen 2. So this is actually a really solid pistol. It's Slovenia's finest 9mm striker fired setup here. And there is a lot of value with what this pistol comes in out of the box. Overall, this has an absolutely great feel to it with the ergonomics, the angles, and just points and aims extremely naturally for me with more neutral grip angles. It runs like an absolute champ. It is built on a chassis system, so if you ever destroy the grip module, you can change it out. You get a multi-slot accessory rail out front, great sandpaper style texture, recoil ledges out on the frame, ambi controls all the way around. It's got an okay trigger in it. It does smooth out with time. It comes with a flush fit and an extended magazine. Now, the 3 best parts of the AREX Delta Gen 2 are the ambidextrous controls. Lefties do not get enough love in the world, so AREX has given you full ambi controls in the way of the Delta Gen 2. The next great thing is going to be all of that sandpaper style texture from the front, the back, everywhere in here. It has that same aggressive yet not abrasive grip texture, and I am a huge fan of that because the more texture you have, the more control you have. And that leads me into my next favorite thing, which is these recoil ledges up in the front right there. You can get your thumb on those. It's textured, it's got a little ledge. And that again is gonna help that recoil mitigation that we're all looking for out on a range, especially with those follow-up shots. Now, if there was one thing I could change on the Delta Gen 2, it's gonna be that trigger guard. So that trigger guard is just, it's a little bit small. So you see my finger in there, there's not a lot of room in there, and you don't want one that's huge, but when I go to stick my finger in there, it barely fits in there. So if you are wearing some thicker gloves or even kind of normal mechanic style gloves, you're gonna be rubbing a little bit if you've got big sausage fingers or XL size hands. So that may be a personal thing to me, but if I had to pick this apart, that's the one thing that I would really say, enlarge that trigger guard just a little bit more. And cost-wise, these things are a really good value for what you get, all the options, because this one right here, obviously without the optic, I've seen them for 350 bucks out there in the wild. Now, before we get to that next one, if you guys like seeing content like this and you find it valuable or insightful or just even entertaining, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Not only is that a huge help to me here on Tactical Considerations, but it also tells YouTube to push this video to more people, maybe some of which have never seen Second Amendment or EDC content, and we can maybe broaden their horizons and open their eyes a little bit, which only helps us all in the end. So make sure you subscribe, and if you are subscribed, double check that you still are. And just to clear up a question that I know is gonna come up, all of these have full-size and compact style offerings. So the next one we're gonna talk about is one that really did surprise me, kind of some clone Gen 3 Glock parts in there, and that is gonna be the Mossberg MC2C and the MC2SC, or the subcompact version. Again, these are gonna be an exceptional value 9mm striker fired pistol. These have great texture around the grip. They have okay triggers in them. They do smooth out with time, much like Glock triggers. They have optics ready and non-optics ready version if you wanna run a little bit more lean on the money. They run like a top. I've had a great experience with these out on the range. They are super thin and easy to carry around all day. They've got a single slot accessory rail out front, reference texture points out on the front of that frame for recoil control and mitigation. The takedown is quite a bit different because you don't have to pull the trigger. You actually take the striker assembly out. Therefore, you can't really have an AD when you're taking this thing apart like some other pistols, as long as you're following the firearms safety rules, right? So that's just another added safety feature in some pistols out there like this one, so you don't have to pull a trigger each time, which some people can really appreciate. And my favorite things about the MC2C series, or the MC2SC as well, is it has great angles and ergonomics. So it's much more neutral, which I like, so kind of more 1911 style grip angle rather than a very aggressive and arced back angle. It has very good texture on it, and overall this thing has run like a top out on the range. So that performance has been outstanding for a pistol on this price point. And the direct to slide optics mount is a huge positive because you don't have to worry about a plate system. Now, the one thing I would like to change is, although I really do like the aggressive grip texture on the Mossberg series of pistols, they should have put it all over the grip. At least that's my opinion, because the more grip, the more texture, the more recoil mitigation and ease you're gonna have when you're out there on the range with those multiple shot strings of fire. And price-wise out there in the world, I have seen the non-optics ready version for $300 and the optic ready version for around $400. Now, those prices fluctuate all the time, but that's what I have seen them out there for as of the filming of this video. Next, we're gonna get into the Canik TP9, or specifically the MC9. That's the one I've actually kept, even though I've tested several of them. But the Canik series, the Mete series, and the TP9 just has a lot to offer, to include probably one of the best out-of-the-box striker-fired triggers there is in the market today. They have good grip texture, they are optics ready, they have the accessory rail out front for your lights and whatever else you want to put on there. They run absolutely smooth and reliable. They have an ambidextrous slide stop, and they have a traditional one-sided magazine release. The angles and ergonomics on the Canik stuff is going to be much more neutral, which again, I'm a huge fan of. And overall, they have really just taken part of the market by storm by offering so many options in a pistol at a price point that, again, most of us out there can afford, even if we have to save just a little bit to get into one. The three best things when it comes to all of the Caniks that I have tried are obviously that trigger. It's just absolutely great for an out-of-the-box pistol with no kind of custom work done to it. The next thing is going to be the overall angles and ergonomics of the TP9 series, the Mete series, and even that MC9 just seem to be great. They work for me, and overall, I really like the recoil impulse of this thing. They fire very smoothly, and it seems to be, they go right back to target zero really quickly. And that has to do with not only the angles, but the texture on them and the fact that they just run very smoothly right out of the box. The one thing I would change, and this is kind of specific to the Mete MC9, is going to be to thicken up the walls of the grip a little bit. Now, I know they made it really thin and small because it's very concealable and thin and light. However, that does cause or allow the ability of that frame to flex a little bit around the magazine area. So it can cause some hangups with the magazine exchanges if you kind of tend to over grip that. Now that pistol is currently out on loan to a friend who is using it for a video as well. I do really like the MC9, but that is the one thing I would say is to stiffen up the sidewalls of the pistol grip so you don't get that flex when you're dropping a magazine should you grip the heck out of that pistol, which I think most of us will when we're out there running, having fun on the clock or, you know, in a real life scenario. And price-wise, I've seen that MC9 out there for $399. That's not a bad deal at all, especially when you think about what you're getting for that. The optics ready platform, there's some different Cerakote colors, great controls, runs smooth, and overall that trigger, again, just great right out of the box. And next up, this one is just an exceptional value for what you get, and that is gonna be the Beretta APX A1. Now this is the tactical model. They do have a standard model, but the price points on these is pretty undeniable for what you get. Again, striker fired 9mm pistol built on a chassis system, which is cool because that means you have interchangeable grips. But you really get a lot here. Interchangeable back straps, good grip texture. You get suppressor height sights, optics ready, double undercut on the trigger guard, threaded barrel. You're really just gonna have a lot right out of the box when it comes to the pistol that is the APX A1 Tactical. With the tactical model, you're also gonna get 3 21 round magazines. It's got an okay trigger, great slide serrations, and overall great angles and ergonomics to the pistol. So my 3 favorite things when it comes to the APX are the modularity, ergonomics, and the overall value, specifically with the tactical model that you get right out of the box. You just get everything besides the dot of your choice, and you are gonna be good to go because they give you the magic number of magazines, which is 3, and they're all the big sticks. Price-wise, I've seen them out there in the world for $399. There's actually been some rebates and sales going on, so it's just exceptional value. Now, if I had to change one thing on here, it would have to do with the takedown procedure. So it seems to be that this takedown button in the procedure, that thing is super stiff, and it has not loosened up. I can get through it. I'm a little bit stronger than some people out there, not everybody, but I have had multiple people tell me that it's very difficult to take down this series of pistols, and I think you really just got to get used to how the thing breaks down. So if there's one thing I could pick on it for, it would be to just, you know, lighten up that assembly takedown process, which I'm not an engineer, don't know how they would do that, but it would just make the end user's life a little bit easier. And now for one you've seen on my channel before, that is going to be the Taurus G3X. So this is the crossover design where it's the full-size grip and the shorter slide. Again, this is a very budget-friendly pistol that has turned out to be very reliable for me. Now, QC has been an issue with Taurus before, but it seems to be with the G3s, they are doing far, far better. Again, 9mm striker-fired pistol. You've got really good aggressive sandpaper texture on that grip, which I am a huge fan of. Neutral angles. They have optic ready. They have non-optic ready. You get a single slot accessory rail up front, decent serrations on the front and the rear of the slide that you can work with. The trigger is not great, but that has to do with the restrike capability, so it can be a little bit long. But after that first pull, if you work the reset, it's not bad at all. My top 3 things here with the G3X specifically are the price is very, very good on this. The overall angles and ergonomics are very good with this. And it's just an easy to carry around pistol all day while not maintaining such a small size that it almost feels like you've got something too small in your hand. So that full size grip right there and that shorter slide makes it easy to carry around an appendix or concealed in the waistband somewhere and just not feel overly big or overly small, which for me is kind of that Goldilocks zone when I'm looking to carry something around all day. As far as the one thing I personally would change on here, and I know some people would probably disagree with me, is get rid of that restrike trigger and just put in like a GX4 style trigger, which is much more in line with modern striker fired pistols. I think that would be a big level up. Now, as far as price point goes on these, regularly you can find them right at 300, but most times I have found them out there like 250 to 280, and that's an exceptional value for what you're getting, especially if you're looking for something that's a decent pistol, that's good reliability on it, and it's under 300 bucks. You might have to wait to find that deal, but that's personally what I paid for mine, and I've bought multiple of them in the past couple of years. The next one we're going to talk about is one that I specifically didn't like in the full size or the compact version, but it seems to be that everybody else just loves them because they're really proven, durable, reliable, and overall they're a quality pistol. It didn't quite fit me. And that's going to be the Masada and the Masada Slim. Now, these are both pistols that I personally purchased and tested on the channel. And overall, they have a really good feature set at a really good price point. They're going to be extremely reliable. The trigger was solid. They're going to be optics ready and non-optics ready. They're well proven. They've got decent texture on them. The tactical model had taller sights on it. It was optics ready. They have the accessory rails on them. interchangeable back straps, and the 9S version is built on the chassis system, so eventually down the road you can probably change out those modules should they come out with more. And they do have ambi controls on the full-size version, so there's just a lot to offer there. Now, again, they didn't kind of jive with me, but that's okay because we all have different hands, we all have different ergonomics, and some people will like different pistols. Now, as far as the price point comes on these ones, I have seen them out there in the world for right around that $350 to $400 mark. But most times you're gonna find them right around like $425, somewhere in there. Now, the three best things on that, especially the full size, are gonna be it's fully ambidextrous, it had good angles, and overall a really good reputation, especially for its price point. If there was one thing I could change, especially on the full size model, it would be how the magazine interfaces with the pistol grip. So it was kind of a triangular cut design up in there, and every time I pulled the trigger, I felt like the magazine was dropping free. Now, it wasn't dropping free, but it's just because of the design of the grip. So that's one thing personally I would change. The next one that I'm sure plenty of people are gonna be happy about, and that's actually gonna be a used Glock. So I picked this up, it's a Gen 3 Glock, it was a police trade-in, and I got it for $275. Now it's a little worn, it's a little smoothed out. It could probably use some grip tape on it here because it's just been used a lot. But for $275, you're getting actually a really good pistol that you can easily change the parts out on and do the maintenance on, or send to Glock because their warranty department will actually pretty much rebuild these for you if you send them in, and just overall have a great pistol. When it comes to this Glock 17, they're reliable. They're so well proven. They've got an accessory rail. Depending on the version or generation, you're gonna have interchangeable back straps, optics ready, so easy to get parts for, so easy to get work done on them or do it yourself. The trigger is okay once it's broken in. And the three best things here are going to be obviously the warranty, the reliability, and just the ease of getting parts for this, whether they're factory or aftermarket. If there's one thing I could change on the Glock pistol, and this is for all of them, it would be that very aggressive grip angle. So because of this grip angle, you really have to force your wrist down and forward, which can be a level up because you're locking out your wrists, but it can also be very uncomfortable for most people that like more neutral grip angles. But overall, you just can't deny the reliability and proven durability of the Glock series pistols. Now, price-wise, it's all over the place. I paid $275 for this. It was pretty used, but you can generally find law enforcement trade-ins for like the $350 to $400 mark, and sometimes even lower, like I did with this $275 version. Now it's time to give the CZ P10 series some love. This is my personal P10C that I bought with my own money, and these are just absolutely outstanding pistols. Again, striker fired 9mm, good grip texture, interchangeable back straps, ambidextrous slide stop. They come with good night sights. I think the versions now come with the taller night sights. Optics ready, not optics ready, really good trigger out of the box. Reference points up towards the front for more recoil mitigation. You do have the accessory rail, you've got workable slide serrations. Overall, just a well-designed and great pistol that's proven to be very durable, very reliable, and just a fan favorite of many people out there in the world. Really good aftermarket following at this point as far as parts go. People doing machine work, grip work, all kinds of stuff is available for the P10 series of pistols. And these things run super smooth and super flat on the range because they've got good grip angles, good texture, and a very low bore axis, much like the Glock pistol. The three best things about the P10 series are going to be obviously the trigger. It's just better than so many other striker fired triggers out there in the market right out of the box. The overall angles and ergonomics of this pistol are great. That is a huge help to find a natural fit for a pistol to your hand. It's going to make life easier on the range, make you more accurate, and make you feel more comfortable. And lastly, the feeling under recoil and how these things run on the range is just outstanding compared to a lot of other stuff out there in the market with higher bores and maybe not as good of ergonomics. As far as price point goes on these, it's been all over the place. So I've seen them as low as $350 and up to $650 for the optics ready model. But for $350 for what you get out of a CZ P10C, that's a really solid price point. If there's one thing I could change on the P10 series, give me that texture all the way high up into the grip. And I know I've said that on other things before, but that just makes things a little bit easier to control. You're not having smooth, slippery surfaces anywhere on the webbing of your hand. So it could really help you out, control recoil, even though the recoil on the CZ P10 series is very controllable up front due to its design. Every little bit counts when it comes to grip, texture, and the ability to mitigate recoil. Now, we do have an honorable mention here, and it is the most expensive one out of this group. And the only reason I would add it as an honorable mention is because you get so much right out of the box with this package, and that's going to be the Shadow Systems Foundation version. Now these are Gen 3, Gen 4 Glock clones, kind of a mix, but you get a ton with these pistols, and they come in right around that 650 mark. Great aggressive sandpaper style grip texture on here, Glock durability and reliability, double undercut trigger guard, a better trigger, reference points up on the front with accelerator ledges or recoil control ledges, accessory rail, taller sight so you can run your optic, optic ready, direct to the slide, multiple fit optic, extended beaver tail here, serrations you can work all over the place should you desire, and overall just an outstanding pistol when it comes to angles, ergonomics, and how the thing runs. Interchangeable back straps, so you can see you just get a ton with it. Even though it's a little bit more expensive than these others, I guess you could kick it out of the budget category, but when you think about what you get out of the box, you don't have to do anything to this pistol besides put your decided accessory, optic or light or whatever you want on there, and you're pretty much good to go. Whereas the other ones, you might want to upgrade something here or there. This one's pretty much out of the box, ready to go, but it doesn't fit the price point I wanted to stay in, so that's why it's an honorable mention. Well, that is what I've got for you today, and I really hope that this helped some of you out or kind of maybe opened your eyes up to some of the options that are available out there in the market today. Make sure you do get subscribed to the channel, turn those notifications on, and double check you're still subscribed if you think you are. If you agree or disagree with me, make sure you leave a comment down below on where I went oh so right or oh so wrong, and input what you think should have been on this list. You keep doing it out on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you all on the next one.